Good evening and welcome back. Tonight we'll travel north into the world of the Vikings. After a long day's march, you'll join a circle around the fire, share in a feast of pork, bread and mead, and listen to sagas told deep into the night. Tales of beasts, of gods, of tricksters, and of heroes. If you enjoy these long journeys through history, do give this video a like, or let me know in the comments where you're listening from this evening. And if you'd like to join me for more bedtime histories, you're very welcome to subscribe. So settle in, close your eyes, and let the fire crackle, the mead flow, and the sagas begin. The long day's march lies behind you, your legs stiff, your boots caked in mud from forest tracks and river crossings. Your shoulders ache from the weight of your pack, the leather straps biting into skin still tender from days of travel. Yet, as the light fades and you smell smoke on the air, all weariness begins to loosen. There ahead, between dark trees, the flicker of flame beckons. You step into the clearing, and at once the warmth greets you. The fire roars in its pit, logs crackling, sparks leaping up into the evening sky. Men sit in a wide ring around it, their faces flushed by the heat, their shadows long upon the ground. The smell of wood smoke clings thick in the air, heavy with pine resin and a faint sweetness from damp branches. You breathe it in deeply, and it settles in your chest like an old friend. The men glance up as you approach, their eyes glinting in the firelight. A place is cleared for you, and you lower yourself gratefully onto a rough log, the bark pressing into the back of your thighs. Your bones sigh with relief. The heat of the flames prickles your face, making your skin glow. And for a moment, you simply close your eyes and listen. The camp hums with sound. The crackle of the fire, the low murmur of voices, the occasional burst of laughter at some half-heard jest. From a pot set upon the embers comes the bubbling hiss of stew, its savory scent already filling the clearing. The air is alive with it. The rich fattiness of meat, the sharp bite of onions, the earthy sweetness of carrots, and the wild tang of herbs gathered from the roadside. Your stomach growls, reminding you how little you ate on the road. One of the men dips a ladle into the pot and fills a wooden bowl, passing it into your hands. The heat seeps through the wood, warming your palms. You lift it, and the steam curls into your face, carrying the smell of meat and broth so strong it makes your mouth water. You take a spoonful and sip. It scalds your tongue at first, but soon the flavor floods your senses. Salty, savory, thick with fat, with a sweetness that lingers on your lips. The texture is rough, the meat fibrous, the broth thickened. It scalds your tongue. It infuses. You swallow greedily, each mouthful chasing away the ache in your belly. After the stew comes bread, coarse and heavy, torn from a round loaf and passed hand to hand. You bite into it. It's crust hard, its inside dense, with the faint sourness of old yeast. Dipped into the broth, it softens and becomes rich, carrying the stew's juices deep into its brain. You chew slowly, savoring how the smoke of the fire mingles with the taste of food in your mouth. Then comes the mead. A horn is pressed into your hand, sticky at its rim, where another's lips have been. The liquid inside is golden in a firelight, its surface rippling as you tilt it to your mouth. It smells of honey, fermented and wild, with a sharpness beneath. You drink deep, and it coats your tongue with sweetness, before burning faintly at the back of your throat. The warmth spreads quickly, loosening your chest, softening the aches of travel. You wipe your lips with the back of your hand, and laugh. A deep laugh that comes easily now. Around you, the voices grow louder. Tales begin, first of the day's march, then of older deeds. One man speaks of a raid across the sea, his hands sketching ships upon waves in the firelight. Another recalls the winter hunt, when wolves came too close to the village. The words roll like thunder, punctuated by bursts of laughter and exclamations. You listen, the fire dancing in your eyes, the warmth of mead stirring in your veins. The night deepens. Above, the stars appear one by one, pricking the dark sky. The fire snaps and spits, its sparks swirling upward like fleeting spirits. The smell of smoke clings thicker now, seeping into your hair, your cloak, your very skin. You know it will linger for days, as it always does. Yet it comforts you, for it is the smell of company, of safety, of belonging. The stew has settled warmly in your belly, the bread heavy but comforting, the mead loosening the stiffness from your bones. Around the fire, the ring of men has grown louder. Bowls scrape, horns clink, and laughter bursts suddenly, echoing against the trees. The clearing smells rich now, smoke and charred wood, meat grease bubbling at the pot's room, and the faint sweetness of honey mead spilled on the ground. It clings to your nostrils, thick and heady, and every breath tastes of feast. A second pot is set upon the embers. This one shall hold cuts of pork seared directly in fat. The smell rises quickly, rich, smoky, with a sweetness that makes your mouth water anew, though you are already full. A slave turns the chunks with an iron ladle, their edges crackling and crisping, their juices spitting into the fire below. The scent mixes with the pine smoke until the air is thick enough to chew. When your portion is pressed into your hands, you bite down greedily. The meat is hot, the fat crisp, the inside tender and dripping. Its salt stings your tongue, its smoke clings to your teeth, and when you lick your fingers, they taste of ash and grease together. The horns pass more quickly now, filled and refilled. You drink deep, mead sloshing golden against the rim, its sweetness almost cloying, its warmth coursing through your limbs. Each swallow brings a low heat to your chest. Each refill blurs the edges of your thoughts a little more. Around you, men slap shoulders, ban bowls upon logs, and roar approval at each jest. Your laughter joins theirs, deeper, freer than it was an hour ago. Then comes the first tale. A grey-bearded man rises, his shadow stretching long in the firelight. He thumps his horn against his knee for silence, though his eyes twinkle with mischief. His voice is low at first, but the hush draws every year. He tells of a raid long past, when his ship braved black seas to strike a monastery on a foreign shore. He speaks of the storm that nearly wrecked them, of the thunder that split the night, of the treasure hidden beneath church stones. His words roll like waves, steady and swelling, his hands carving ships and storms into the smoky air. You listen, your horn cradled in both hands, your mead forgotten for the moment. His voice is rough as oak bark, but it pulls you in. The fire cracks in time with his tale, sparks leaping when he speaks of lightning. The smell of smoke thickens, the heat grows, and for a moment you feel as though you too are there, upon the deck, salt spray stinging your face, thunder roaring in your ears. When he ends, the men erupt, horns clashing, voices roaring, the air filled with approval. You find yourself shouting too, your voice hoarse but strong, your chest swelling with the shared thrill. More mead is poured, more pork passed, the feast flowing easily now. Another rises, a younger man, eager, eyes bright in the firelight. He tells of the wolf he slew last winter, its eyes glowing red in the snow, its fangs snapping at his spear. His words are quicker, his voice higher, but the men listen all the same. They laugh when he mimics the beast's growl. They cheer when he thrusts an imaginary spear into its chest. You laugh too, though the mead makes your head sway, and the fire blurs at its edges. The sagas have begun, and the night stretches ahead. You feel it in your bones, the rhythm of feast and tale, of food and drink, of voices weaving the past into the present. The fire crackles louder, the smoke clings heavier, the taste of pork and mead still lingers thick on your tongue. The sun has sunk fully now. The stars shine clear above, cold and sharp. Yet you hardly feel the night's chill. The fire is your hearth, the feast your comfort, the sagas your song. And you, weary traveller, are woven into it all. The pork fat still clings to your lips, the taste smoky and salt heavy, and the mead in your horn is sweeter than ever. The fire roars higher now, logs collapsing in a shower of sparks. The ring of men leans closer, faces glowing, eyes gleaming. Then the grey-bearded skald rises again, tapping his knuckles against the rim of his horn until silence falls. His shadow looms across the fire, long and crooked, his voice rough but steady as he begins. "Listen well," he growls, "to the saga of the sea wolf." The men murmur in approval, settling deeper into their cloaks. You sip from your horn, the mead thick on your tongue, and fix your eyes on the old man. He begins with a ship, long and lean, its prow carved into the snarl of a wolf. Its sails are black as midnight, its oars biting the waves like teeth. The skald's words roll like the sea itself. You hear the crash of waves. You smell salt spray sharp in your nostrils. They taste brine on your lips as if you were aboard. The fire crackles, and in your mind it becomes the roar of breakers against cliffs. "Half's ship struck at dawn," he says, slipping through the mist like a shadow. The monks in their stone cloisters rang their bells, but the wolf's fangs were already upon them. The men cheer at this, clashing horns against knees, roaring approval, while the skald raises a hand for quiet, his voice deepening. "They found not only gold and silver," he says, "but something greater. A bell, vast and heavy, cast in bronze, its voice rolling like thunder. Fraf struck it once with his axe, and its sound carried across the sea. A warning, a promise, a howl. You imagine it, the bronze note shaking your bones, echoing through the storm. The taste of mead grows sharper, the smoke thicker. Your heart beats faster." The sea wolf and his men lifted the bell, lashed it to their ship, and set sail again, its voice booming with each wave. From then on, the sound of the bell marked their raids. Villages trembled when they heard it, for it meant the wolf had come. The tale swells like the sea, the old man's voice rising. Battles clash in your ears, swords ringing, men screaming, the bell tolling over it all. You smell blood, iron sharp and hot, mingling with salt spray. You see fires upon coasts, their smoke as thick as the one rising from your campfire. You feel the deck rolling beneath your feet, though you are seated still upon the log. Then comes the end. Half grew old, but the wolf's hunger never left him. In his final raid, a storm rose, black waves towering, lightning splitting the sky. The bell tolled wildly, its bronze voice cracking in the gale. Some say the sea itself rose to swallow him, jealous of the wolf who had hunted too long. His ship went down, the bell ringing once more before silence. And they say, when the storms roll in from the north, you can still hear its tolling beneath the thunder. The skald lowers his hand. Silence hangs heavy, broken only by the crackle of fire and the soft hiss of fat dripping into embers. You realize your knuckles are white around your horn, your breath caught in your throat. The men exhale all at once, then roar approval, banging bowls, shouting Fraf's name, toasting the wolf of the sea. You drink deep, the mead sweet and sharp, burning warmly down your chest. Your stomach is heavy with meat and bread, your head light with drink and story. The fire glows brighter, smoke stings your eyes, your heart still races with the echo of the bronze bell. Another man rises, eager, already forming words upon his lips. The night is young still, and more sagas wait to be told. The fire pops loudly, a log collapsing into a spray of sparks. Men refill horns, the mead flowing golden and sticky, the smell of honey thick in the air. Your head is warm with it now, your limbs heavy, but your ears prickle as another rises. He is younger, his beard shorter, his eyes glinting with hunger for respect. He raises his arm for silence, the mead sloshing in his horn, and begins. "Not all wolves swim the sea," he says, his voice sharp as an axe striking wood. "Some prowl the ash forests, their eyes like embers, their fangs long as sexes. This is the saga of the ash wolf." The men murmur, leaning in. You lean too, the taste of pork and bread still lingering in your mouth, your lips sticky with mead. He tells of a winter night when the village cattle vanished, one by one, their blood staining the snow, their tracks leading into the forest. The men of the village whispered of a beast too large for any snare, too cunning for any trap. So 3 hunters set out. armed with spears, cloaks drawn tight, their breath rising white in the frozen air. The skald's voice lowers. You feel the cold creep into you, though the fire burns hot. You hear snow crunching underfoot, smell pine resin sharp in your nostrils, taste the metallic chill of winter air on your tongue. The forest rises tall and black around you, the hunters' torches sputtering weakly in the wind. They found the tracks, deep, broad, far apart. The claws scored the earth, as though the beast had been carving its mark into the land itself. The hunters followed, their nerves taut, their spears heavy in their hands. An owl hooted once, then silence fell. Only the crunch of their boots, only the hiss of their breath, only the fear quickening in their chests. The tale grows thicker. You hear it, a growl, low and rumbling, rolling through the trees. You smell it, the stench of blood and musk, hot and sour, clinging to the wind. Then the beast leapt from the shadows, vast, fur as grey as ash, eyes red as coals, jaws snapping with a crack like breaking oak. The fire before you spit sparks as the young warrior describes the fight. Spears thrust, torches swung, the beast howling, its cry a storm of rage. Men shout, your companions roar approval, horns slam on logs, the story alive in every chest. You feel it too, the spear shaft rough in your grip, the heat of breath in your face, the stink of fur and blood filling your nostrils. One hunter fell, his throat torn. Another was dragged screaming into the dark. The third, the teller's ancestor he swears, stood alone, torch in one hand, spear in the other. He thrust deep, driving the iron into the beast's heart. Its blood poured black, steaming in the snow, stinking of iron and rot. It howled once more, so loud the forest shut, then fell silent at last. The men cheer, voices crashing like waves. You shout too, mead spilling from your horn, firelight blurring in your eyes. The young warrior grins, teeth flashing, his chest rising with pride as the camp roars his name. But then he raises his hand again, and his voice drops to a whisper. Yet some say, he murmurs, that when the moon is full and the wind is right, you can still hear the ash wolf's cry. Deep in the trees, hunting still, seeking the blood that was denied it, a shiver runs through you. The fire's heat seems to falter, and the night beyond the clearing grows darker. You sip your mead, the sweetness cloying now, heavy on your tongue. Smoke stings your eyes, but you do not blink, staring instead at the shadows just beyond the fire's reach. The tale has ended, but its echo lingers. The smell of pine and blood, the taste of iron, the sound of a howl rolling through the night. The men laugh to shake it off, tearing more bread, biting into chunks of pork, drinking heavily. Yet, their eyes dart to the trees now and again, as if listening for something more than wind. The saga has been told, and the feast resumes. But the ash wolf hunts still, in your mind, in the dark forest of memory. The fire snaps loudly, as though to chase away the last echo of the ash wolf's howl. Horns are filled again, bowls scraped clean, and the men mutter for something lighter, something to wash fear from their throats. At last, a broad-shouldered man rises, his beard damp with spilled mead, his grin wide as the moon. He slaps his thigh for silence, though he hardly waits for it, and begins, his voice booming with mirth. This is no saga of wolves or storms, he declares, but of wit and foolishness, of a trickster who sought a farmer's daughter, and the beating he earned for it. The men roar with approval, already laughing before the first word of the tale. You smile, your horn warm in your hand, the sweet tang of honey lingering in your throat. The trickster, whose name, the storyteller says, has been forgotten out of shame, wandered from hole to hole, living on his tongue more than his sword. One winter night, he crept into a farmer's stead, where a daughter fair was said to live. Xiao. The men around you chuckle knowingly, slapping each other's shoulders. The story already smells of mischief. The trickster brought gifts, or so he claimed. In truth, he had stolen them from careless neighbors. A comb of bone, cracked at the teeth. A cloak, patched and singed at the hem. And a hen, scrawny, feathers missing, squawking so loudly it nearly betrayed him. He thrust these before the farmer, bowing low, and begged a place at his hearth. The farmer, gruff and suspicious, sniffed at the hem, tugged the cloak, and frowned. But the daughter laughed, her voice light as bells, and urged her father to let the stranger stay. And so, the trickster sat at the fire, his eyes fixed not on his bowl of stew, but on the girl. The storyteller raises his brows, and the men around you laugh louder, some shouting lewd guesses at what happened next. You bite into a hunk of bread, its crust smoky, its center soft, and listen, the taste mixing with the sweet burn of mead as the tale rolls on. That night, while the farmer snored and the daughter tended the hearth, the trickster crept close. He whispered flattery, he offered promises, he swore he would make her his queen. But she, wiser than he, played along with a smile. She bade him fetch water from the well to prove his devotion. Off he went, cloak dragging, muttering curses, the night cold and biting. He lowered the bucket, but when he pulled, he found the rope tied fast. The daughter had knotted it tight while his back was turned. When he tugged harder, the bucket slipped, splashing him head to toe with freezing water. He returned, shivering, dripping, his beard stiff with ice. The men around you howl with laughter. Mead sloshes, bread flies, and you laugh too, the sound bursting from your chest until your ribs ache. But the tale is not done. The daughter then asked him to chop wood for the fire. Eager to impress, he seized the axe, but the handle was cracked, and it split upon the first stroke, the blade flying off into the dark. He stumbled, fell headlong into the snow, and when he staggered back in, his knees and elbows were bruised, his nose dripping. The farmer woke then, saw the stranger soaked, bruised, and useless, and demanded an explanation. The daughter only shrugged and smiled. The trickster stammered, tried to spin a tale of honor and labor, but the farmer, unimpressed, seized him by the scruff and hurled him into the night. He landed face first in a snowdrift, where he spent the rest of the hours shivering, his gifts forgotten by the hearth. The storyteller ends with a roar, and that, my brothers, is why we do not know his name, for who would sing of such a fool? The men collapse into laughter, pounding the ground, mead spilling from their horns. You laugh too, your belly aching, your throat raw, tears stinging your eyes. The smoke tastes sweeter now, the food richer, the night warmer. The ash wolf shadow is gone, chased by mirth. You drink again, honey and fire running through you, and lean back, cloak heavy on your shoulders. The fire burns steady, the voices hum, and the night still has sagas to tell. The laughter lingers, but soon it thins, leaving only chuckles and the clink of horns being refilled. The fire crackles steady, casting long shadows that dance across faces flushed with drink. Then, a warrior with scarred arms and a voice deep as a drum stands, planting his feet firm, his eyes glinting the firelight, and when he speaks, the camp falls silent. Now hear, he rumbles, the saga of Bjorn Ironshoulder, breaker of shields, terror of the western seas. Your chest tightens. You clutch your horn close, tasting honey and smoke at its rim, and lean forward into the glow. The tale begins with a storm. A fleet tossed on black waters, sails whipped to tatters, oars snapping in the swell. But at the prow of the largest ship stood Bjorn, vast and unshaken, his cloak whipping like a sail, his shoulders broad as the ship itself. Where other men trembled, he laughed, his voice carrying over the gale like thunder. The storyteller slams his fist against his chest. The sound booms. The fire pops, sparks leaping skyward. For a moment, you smell salt spray in your nostrils, brine thick on your lips. The storm broke, and the fleet found land, a foreign shore, its cliffs jagged, its villagers fat with wealth. Bjorn led the charge. He leapt from the prow, shield raised, axe gleaming. His roar split the air, and the men followed, surging up the beach. The tale surges with him. You hear the clash of iron, swords biting shields, axes splitting helms. You smell blood, hot, metallic, sharp as iron filings. There, your chest tingles, your pulse hammers. Though seated by the fire, you feel the weight of axe in your grip, the recoil of steel striking bone. Bjorn fought through the village like a storm itself. A dozen men fell to his axe, their shields splintering, their cries drowned by his laughter. His shoulder, struck again and again, bore no bruise, no break. Blades glanced from him as though striking stone. Thus he was named Iron Shoulder, for no weapon could bite him there. The men around you cheer, horns lifted high. You drink deep, the mead sweet then sharp, burning in your throat. Grease from pork still coats your fingers, mixing with ash as you clap your thigh in rhythm with the saga. The battle turned, the storyteller says, when the foreign lord himself came forth, clad in mail, sword bright with sun. He called out Bjorn by name, mocking him, daring him. The circle hushes, every breath held. The fire spits and hisses, throwing sparks that dance in the dark. The duel was fierce. Blades rang, shields splintered, men circled and shouted. Bjorn took blow after blow upon his shoulder, each strike ringing like iron on iron, each leaving him unbowed. Then, with a roar that shook the very ground, he swung his axe in a great arc and cleaved the lord's helm. The man fell, the earth drank his blood, and the village was theirs. The storyteller pauses, letting the silence hang, broken only by the hiss of fat dripping into the flames. Then he raises his horn high. Thus was Bjorn named Iron Shoulder, for no blade could break him, no foe withstand him. His name lives yet, carried on the waves, feared in every western hall. The men erupt, they shout Bjorn's name, they clash horns, they stamp their boots on the earth. Your own voice joins theirs, hoarse and strong, your chest alive with fire. You drink again, mead spilling over your chin, its sweetness sticky, its heat coursing through your limbs. The tale is told, yet it echoes in you. The crash of surf, the clash of iron, the laughter of a man too strong to fall. The fire seems hotter, the night sharper, your heart louder. The shouting fades, the last cries of Bjorn swallowed by the night. The men sink back to their logs, their chests heaving, their horns sticky with spilled mead. Smoke curls thick in the air, clinging to your hair, your cloak, the back of your throat. The fire settles lower, embers glowing deep red, throwing a softer light upon the ring of faces. Then the skald rises, the grey beard, his eyes shadowed beneath his brow. He does not shout for silence. He simply begins, and the hush comes on its own, as though the flames themselves lean closer to listen. Not all sagas are of men, he murmurs, nor of beasts, nor of storms. Some are older. Some belong to the Norns, who sit at the roots of Yggdrasil, weaving the fates of gods and men alike. The men bow their heads. You do too. Mead warm in your belly, the taste of honey still lingering but now distant, softened. The tale unfolds slowly, like smoke uncoiling. At the base of the great ash tree, where roots twist through earth and water, sit three women. Urd, who is memory, Verdandi, who is becoming, Skald, who is yet to come. Their fingers move across the loom, and with every thread they bind lives, battles, births, and deaths. He speaks of how the gods themselves bow before the weaving. Odin, one-eyed and wise, listens at the well, yet cannot change what the threads declare. Thor, strong as storms, raises his hammer but cannot smash the loom. Even Loki, sly and shifting, cannot slip through the strands. For the Norns weave, and none may unweave. Your mead tastes bitter now, as though the honey has soured on your tongue. A hush presses against your chest, heavier than battle, deeper than laughter. Around you, men sit still, their faces lit by fire and shadow. The crackle of logs seems loud, the hiss of fat startling, like voices from far away. The skald's eyes glint as he tells of a single thread, bright, taut, humming with power. A hero's fate, destined to burn bright and fall fast. He does not name him. He does not need to. You know such man. Then the skald lifts his horn, slow, solemn. So it is with all of us, he says. Our threads are woven. We feast tonight, we fight tomorrow. We fall when the loom commands. The men raise their horns too, quietly this time, their voices low, their eyes steady. You sip, and the mead is thick on your tongue, sweeter again but heavy, weighted with the loom's thread. The fire hisses, the smoke tastes darker, the night deepens. And though laughter will return, for this moment you feel the pull of fate like a rope around your chest. The Norns weave still, in root and soil, in shadow and water. Their noom hums beneath all sagas, even this one, by the fire. The skald remains standing, his shadow long upon the firelit earth. His last words of the Norns still cling to your chest, heavy as iron, but now his voice grows louder, richer, carrying the weight of storm clouds. Yet know this, he says, eyes burning. Though the threads are woven, the gods themselves sometimes stride among us, shaping our doom with their own hands. Listen then to the tale of Thor at the river. You swallow the last of your mead, its sweetness sharp now against the smoke in your throat, and lean closer. The tale begins with a crossing. A warband, weary from battle, sought to ford a great river swollen with rain. Its waters roared white and wild, dragging trees and stones in its surge. They waded out, shields high, but the current tore at their legs, pulled men under, dashed bodies against rocks. Their cries rose above the spray, desperate, breaking. The skald's voice swells. You hear the rush of water. You feel spray cool on your face. You taste the sharpness of wet stone. Around you, men shift uneasily, mead sloshing in horns. Then, from the storm clouds above, thunder cracked. A figure strode into the torrent, broad, bearded, hair wild as lightning. Thor, red with rage, Mjolnir in his hand. The river roared higher, as if defying him. The men around you cheer, some slamming fists into logs, mead spilling onto cloaks. You too feel your chest swell, your grip tightening on your horn. Thor waded forward. Each step shook the current. His legs churned the flood, as though it were no more than foam. A wave rose against him, black and high, crowned with white spray. He raised his hammer and brought it down. The sound cracked, like the fire's own heart breaking. The wave split. The water recoiled. The river trembled. The storyteller's voice rises, his arms wide as though holding the torrent itself. The fire spits sparks. The smoke stings your eyes, and you feel the thunder in your ribs. The river spirit, angered, rose from the flood, a shape vast and shifting, its body made of rushing waters, its eyes whirlpools, its voice the roar of rapids. It lunged at Thor, wrapping him in torrents, dragging him down. For a heartbeat, the fire dims. You feel the cold grip of water around your chest, your lungs straining, your tongue tasting bitter silt. But then, the hammer rose again. Mjolnir flashed, and the spirit shrieked, its body bursting into spray that hissed away on the rocks. Thor heaved the warband to the far bank, tossing men onto the shore like nets of fish. He stood last, chest heaving, eyes blazing. water streaming from his beard. The storm broke above, lightning flashing, thunder rolling away into the distance. The skald slams his fist into his palm. Thus the gods strode among men, their doom averted. Thus the gods strode among men. For infested, the men cheer, their voices wild, their horns lifted high. Mead splashes, bread is torn, pork fat hisses in the embers. You drink deep, honey-sweet liquid thick on your lips, burning warm down your chest. Your heart pounds as though you too had crossed the flood. Thunder at your back. The fire burns brighter, its smoke thick, filling your nostrils, clinging to your hair. The Saga has lifted you, raised you into the storm, and set you down again. You feel the god's presence, vast and near, like thunder rolling faint in the night. Have you heard of Eric the Tall? Asked the old man, almost choking on sadness. Eric the Tall was known not for his sword, though he bore one, nor for his axe, though he swung one, but for the light in his eyes when Solveig entered a hall. She was fair, hair pale as flax, voice soft as a harp string. When she laughed, the sound carried further than any horn, sweeter than any song. The men teased him, calling him love-struck, but he bore it with a smile, for her glance was worth their jeers. They were promised, though the promise was thin, for her father sought wealth, and her kin leaned toward another match. Still, when the evenings came, they would walk together by the river's bank, her hand in his, her braid brushing his shoulder. He spoke of voyages, of ships he would build, of halls he would raise. She spoke of hearths and children, of weaving and song. Between them lay a life unmade but waiting, like a cloak still on a loom. One summer raid he sailed, chasing silver and honor. The sea tasted of salt and wind, the deck pitched beneath his boots, the oars creaked, the gulls cried. He thought of her always, her face in the spray, her laugh in the rigging snap. He returned with treasure, gold rings heavy on his arms, foreign cloths smelling of spices and smoke. He hurried to the village, to her father's hall, eager to lay gifts at her feet. But she was gone, given to another, a jarl from the next fjord, wealthier, older, his beard thick with grease, his holes fat with tattle. The feast was already done, the vows spoken. She sat at the jarl's side, her eyes downcast, her fingers twisting the hem of her gown. Eric stood in the doorway, smoke from the fire stinging his eyes. The hall was heavy with roast meat and spilled mead, but the taste in his mouth was ash. He turned and left without a word. That night he went to the sea. He loaded his ship with what little remained to him, a few companions, their bellies full of mead, their cloaks smelling of pine smoke. He set sail into the dark, the salt sharp on his lips, the gulls gone silent above. The men muttered, for the wind was foul, the sea restless. But he would not turn back. Days passed, food dwindled, the bread grew hard, sour, scratching his throat. The dried fish stank of salt and rot. His companions spat and cursed, their lips cracked, their skin blistered. He spoke little, staring always toward the horizon, as if Solveig's face were waiting there. A storm came. Black clouds rolled, thunder cracked, lightning split the sea. The waves rose like mountains, their crests white and hissing. Water crashed over the ship, soaking cloaks, drowning the fire. The men screamed as the sail tore, as the mast cracked, as the ship heaved sideways. Eric clung to the prow, hair plastered to his face, eyes wide. He shouted her name into the storm. Solveig, Solveig, but the wind swallowed it. The ship broke. Men vanished, dragged under, their cries bubbling, cut short. The sea roared louder, the salt burned harsher, the spray stung sharper. Eric fought, swimming, gasping, his mouth filling with brine. In the lightning's flash, he saw a figure, pale, cloaked in seaweed, eyes cold as the deep. Ran, the sea goddess, gatherer of drowned men. She reached with long fingers, wrapped him tight, and pulled him down. The skald's voice drops low, and the fire seems to hush. You feel the cold of the water in your bones. Your tongue tastes of salt. Your ears hum with the sea's roar. They say his body never returned. His ship was found, splintered, washed ashore with gulls pecking its ribs. His name is still spoken in some halls, though low, for his tale is not of victory, but of loss. The Norns cut his thread short, tangled by love and storm alike. Solveig lived on. She bore the Jarl's sons, wove his cloaks, tended his hearth. She sang sometimes at feasts, but those who heard said her songs were heavy, her voice cracked, her eyes shadowed. And when the gulls cried loud above the fjord, she would look to the sea and fall silent, as though listening for a name carried on the wind. The men around you mutter into their beards, their horns raised in half-hearted toasts. The mead tastes bitter now, thick in your throat, honey turned to smoke. The pork wreath on your lips cloys, the bread in your belly sets heavy. The fire burns lower, its smoke acrid, its heat sharp. You shift your cloak tighter, for the night has grown colder. The saga ends, not with cheers, but with silence. You hear the crack of the fire, the hiss of fat, the drip of mead spilled on earth. The tale clings to you like salt, sharp and endless, bitter and briny. Eric is gone, but his name lingers, woven into the night like smoke. The circle sits heavy now, bowls lie forgotten, bread crusts scattered on the ground, the pork pot scraped to blackened fat. Horns are still passed, though slower, clumsier. Mead sloshes down cloaks, sticky and sweet, stinking of honey left too long in the sun. The air is thick with smoke, sweat, and spilled drink. Your head is hot, your stomach full, your limbs loose and heavy. One man lifts himself, swaying, horn in hand. His words come thick, his tongue slow, but the circle stills for him. He tells a tale of Loki, this lie one, who tricked a giant with nothing but hunger and a goatskin. His voice rises and falls unevenly, his arms waving, spilling mead as he mimics the god's clever grin. The men laugh, harsh and ragged now, their breaths sour with drink. You laugh too, though the sound comes late, your head sluggish. Still, the story weaves around you. Loki, bound in a contest, devouring meat against a giant across a long trench of bones. The sly god ate not only flesh, but bones and the very trough itself, while the giant choked and spat. The trickster won, of course, and the whole roared at his wit. Your throat burns with another mouthful of mead, sweet at first, then acrid as it runs down, clinging to your tongue, coating your teeth. The fire crackles louder for a moment, then sinks again, embers glowing red, sparks rising like fleeting stars. Another man tries for a tale, but his voice slows so badly it is lost in laughter. He waves a hand, spills his horn, and falls back onto the ground with a grunt. The circle jeers, but without malice, their voices softer now, fading like the fire. The skald, grey-bearded and weary, clears his throat. He tells a final verse, not long, not grand, of Odin wandering in disguise, hooded, one-eyed, begging at doors, testing the worth of men. His words are slow, low, like the drone of a drum. You hear the shuffle of cloaks, the sniff of noses, the last murmurs of mead-soaked voices. The fire's smoke burns your eyes, the taste of ash coats your tongue, but you let it linger. Silence follows. The sagas are done. Only the crackle of dying logs, the hiss of fat, the soft snore of one who has already slumped sideways onto his cloak. You draw your own cloak tighter, the wool scratchy against your chin, heavy with the smell of smoke and grease. The ground beneath is hard, but you do not care. Your stomach is warm, your head fogged, your chest rising and falling slow. The fire dims to embers. The smoke tastes bitter. The stars above wheel slowly, cold and sharp. Around you, men shift, sigh, settle. Mead horns tip onto the earth, spilling what little remains. The smell of honey, fat, sweat, and ash wraps you like a blanket, thick and pungent. Your eyes grow heavy. Voices fade, laughter gone. Only the rasp of breath and the crackle of ember. Your head dips forward, Your body sackens, your thoughts tangle like threads on a loom. You breathe once more the air of smoke and mead, and then you slip into sleep. The sagas of the night are over, and so the sagas fade. The embers glow low, and the mead horns lie empty. The Vikings lie heavy in their cloaks, their laughter gone to silence, their stories told. I hope this night among them has brought you some rest, and perhaps carried you gently towards sleep. If you'd like to return for more quiet journeys into history, do remember to subscribe, so the next tale finds you waiting by the fire. Thank you for listening, and until next time, good night.